Every year across America, students take standardized tests in math, language arts, and science. The use of standardized tests has grown significantly in the last decade, although the popularity of their use is a contentious subject at best. But what is a standardized test exactly? When did standardized tests become the norm? What do the results of the tests actually mean? And why are the results of standardized testing so important? A standardized test is defined as any test where the same test is administered under the same conditions to all test takers. Standardized testing in the American educational system can be traced back to the mid-1800s, to the days of Horace Mann and the Common School reformers in Boston. Standardized tests were used as a means for testing student learning in order to gauge the quality of each school's output as well as the effectiveness of the teachers within. The use and popularity of standardized tests by education policymakers expanded quickly from Boston to other states across the country. However, the unpopularity of the frequency of their application also grew. Negative views about excessive testing could be heard as early as 1906. Modern standardized tests are actually based on the psychological tests that were given to United States Army personnel during World War I. They were designed as a means of identifying intelligence levels in individuals for the purposes of classification as well as the division of labor. Have you ever wondered why the number 2 pencil is the standard pencil used for filling in those little bubbles? Because the IBM 805, marketed from 1938 to 1963, was designed to detect electrical currents as they passed through the graphite from the number 2 pencil marks. Modern scanners use optical recognition software to read the marks from almost any other writing instrument. But the use of the number 2 pencil has been maintained as the standard. Now you know. Since the mid-1960s, many presidential administrations have enacted legislation for educational reform. In 1965, Lyndon Johnson enacted the Elementary and Secondary Education Act. Although George H.W. Bush's America 2000 initiative got hung up in Congress, it was pushed through by Bill Clinton as Goals 2000, in addition to the Improving America's Schools Act in 1994. George W. Bush enacted No Child Left Behind in 2000, and Barack Obama in 2009 signed into action Race to the Top. Each piece of legislation brought with it the increased use of standardized testing as a tool for evaluating the outcomes of the specific policy. According to an article published in the Journal of Science Teacher Education, proponents of standardized testing believe the results of these tests are a good indicator of a student's level of knowledge in a subject area, as well as a means of holding schools and teachers accountable for their ability to educate students. Supporters also believe that standardized tests encourage teachers to cover state standard curricula effectively to ensure a uniform education for all students. In attempts to increase accountability, No Child Left Behind and Race to the Top have tied school standardized test results to federal education funding. If a school board or district does not meet testing outcome requirements, then sanctions can be levied, including the withholding of funds. Opponents to standardized testing are not so optimistic about the results. Robert J. Sternberg, a professor of psychology and education at Oklahoma State University, wrote in 2012 that standardized tests don't test creative or practical thinking, only the factual knowledge base that a student possesses. In a position paper written by the Association for Childhood Education International, the view of many is that standardized testing removes a teacher's ability to teach according to student needs. Parents have also weighed in on the issue, expressing concerns about the number of standardized tests their children are being asked to take. Their fear is that the time required to prepare for and take the tests greatly reduces their child's in-class instructional time. and increases the amount of stress felt by students. I am personally against standardized testing in schools as the sole means for evaluating student achievement and teacher accountability. I feel there are better ways to evaluate students, ways that take into consideration a child's needs and their deeper cognitive capabilities, as well as what they are able to memorize and recall. To remove funding from a school where student learning is of concern is a counterintuitive solution. I'm not saying the answer is to continue throwing money at the problem, but rather investigate the issue and find a unique solution that fits that particular scenario. I think the real issue is that too many policymakers want a standardized answer to a complex situation. No two children are alike, no two teachers are alike, no two classrooms or schools are alike. With so many different variables, how can we reasonably expect to measure knowledge and effectiveness with one standard test?